Right.
Um, Hello, my name is Bobby Young, and I'm here representing WEN-ID, which is a veteran-owned and operated identity recovery service. Uh, Today we are here for Trophy Tuesday, which is recognizing some of the veterans in our community and how they have separated from the service and how they are contributing to their community as an entrepreneur. So, hi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is David Torres. I go by Alex on some occasions. That's my middle name. It is, first of all, my privilege and honor to be with you today.
Thank you very much. So what service were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
And how long did you serve?
A little over 4 years, almost 5. I was stop lost back in the late 90s.
Okay.
I joined when I was 17 years old.
Oh, well, thank you for your service.
No, thank you for your support.
Why did you join the military?
I don't want to say it, but I think it was Top Gun, the movie. No, I actually, just as a young guy, I knew that I wanted to join the service. I had actually attempted to get into the Navy and the Marine Corps first, but things just led me to the Air Force, and it worked out. I was ambitious, 17 years old. My mom had to sign me away. She kind of reluctantly did so. I joined literally about 3 months out of high school.
That's excellent. Yeah, I joined around the same time. Not in the 90s, but when I was 17, right out of high school, and it was definitely an interesting time.
It was. It certainly was.
If you could change one thing about your military experience, what would it be?
You know, that question got me. I kind of went over the list there, and I think the only thing I regret about it is, or that I would change, is probably doing another term.
Okay.
And I think I was ready to get out because I was in a high ops tempo job. I had been deployed to Saudi Arabia and the Middle East more than 14 times. So I was a little burned out, but in retrospect, if I would have known what would have happened just about a year and a half after I separated, I probably would have stayed in. I actually called my old unit and asked them after 9/11. I was already working at Central Command at that time. And they were like, no, we're good. And it turned out that because of what I was doing as a contractor already for Central Command, I was considered essential personnel. So none of us got called back into action. So, but I think that's what it would have been. Just probably say it another term.
I like it. So when you got out, how was the transition like? Did you have any issues?
Well, you know, another thing in retrospect, I would have to say it's about who you know. And I wasn't a big networker back then. I was actually still kind of shy. The Air Force and military service helped me get out of my shell a little bit. But fortunately, I had a smooth transition. A good friend of mine that I had served with got out about 3 months before I did in '99, and had dropped my name in a bucket, and they called me before I actually had separated and said, "Hey, are you looking for a job?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I didn't know who they were. It ended up being Lockheed Martin. He was ended up being one of my mentors in my profession. And we still talk to this day, almost 20 years later, and even though I don't work for Lockheed anymore. But you know, it was a smooth transition for me, and that's one of the reasons why I volunteer for various reasons to supporting our veterans, especially in the transitioning phase. And I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So who do you volunteer for?
I met a lady. Her name is Nancy Lane. A few years back here in Tampa. Me networking, and she told me about a program that she had started called Project Transition USA. And I said, well, what is that about? She goes, well, she has just a heart for veterans. She's like an Army brat, I think. Grew up in Alaska. just a phenomenal person, and she has a huge heart for veterans. Started this program about 6 years ago. I think it was September or October of last year. It was the 6th anniversary of the program. And what she's involved in doing is basically promoting LinkedIn and how to use it properly, and provides free services to transitioning veterans in the form of like professional headshots, conducts a full 8-hour course dedicated to LinkedIn and its proper use. It's about, resume writing. She invites prominent employers to the workshop to be able to commingle with veterans. It's an amazing program. Once a month happens here at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa.
Awesome. That sounds like something I'd love to check out.
Yeah, it would be something that we're trying to socialize and actually duplicate in other places. We found some challenges in that, but I think with our continuing group that we have of volunteers that are bright, they are talented, and we have good ideas that we're bringing to the table to support Nancy's cause. And we are hopefully within the next year or two, I don't have a quite target yet, but we want to expand this to other bases. If not, at least make it available through like this type of medium in a broadcast sense. We're still looking at some ideas, but it's a phenomenal thing that she's doing. And I'm glad to hear, actually, through my networking that there are other programs like this all over the country, including Germany. I've talked to people in Germany and in other countries that are doing similar services for our transitioning veterans. So it's a great resource for them, and I'm just glad to be a part of it as a volunteer.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
So what are you doing now aside from volunteering?
Well, I do still have full-time work. I have been involved in primarily with Central Command and Special Operations Command here in Tampa. I've spent about 6 years at SOCOM and about 10 years at CENTCOM. I also did about a 4-year stint down in Miami at Southcom. I am just basically your run-of-the-mill IT guy. Right now I'm kind of middle management. Been doing this almost 20 years with several different employers. And I've had a great career, and by no means do I regret it. But I guess I'm just in this season of retrospect and looking back, and I think upon reflection, as much as I enjoy doing what I do, I don't want to do it until I'm dead.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very fun.
No, and so I just got involved a few years back with entrepreneurship, and that has really opened up my thought process and my vision for the future and options that are created by that. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that I bring to the table as a volunteer at Project Transition USA is kind of a advocate for veterans to consider entrepreneurship as a side hustle. I'm not necessarily telling them to go away from a job, because a lot of people that are involved in this business have full-time jobs. They like what they do. They're doctors, nurses. But in my opinion, I feel like I have so many more passions that I want to pursue that a 9-to-5 disallows me that time. I have that time blocked away for an hourly exchange of dollars for my time, and I feel like I have so much more to do, and I'm 42 now, 20 years, and I'm nowhere closer to retirement. I can't really say that I've made a mistake by having a career in this, not by far. I mean, I do have things to show for it. I've been able to invest in real estate, in the stock market. It's just some of these avenues that have been creating an income for me haven't reached the level to which I'll be able to leave my job. But I'm very confident that'll happen within the next year. So I'm very excited about entrepreneurship and what options those have created for me. And I love to share that with people that are open to it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I know you're pretty busy. But is there any like last minute advice that you'd like to give for members that are separating from the military?
Start early.
Mhm.
Don't wait till like 6 months before you're short to start. And I also recommend networking, finding local resources, and including TAPS. Don't overlook that. I know it's a problem or a program that lacks in some areas, but they do throw a lot of information at you. And I recommend that you do take that opportunity to look at that. And just get involved in the community. There's people out there looking to help you. And you're open to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my primary source of connection. And my name is David A. Torres. You'll find me on there. I think it's DA Torres 1 if you looked up the LinkedIn.
I'll
And
definitely provide your information.
great.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'd love to network with anyone in the country, in the world that is got the same values as I do. And you know, one thing that the Air Force instilled in me is service before self. And that's how I've always been. So I enjoyed my time. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am honored and privileged to do so. And I hope that we can be able to collaborate some other way in the near future.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. Again, this is in support of WEN-ID, a veteran-owned and operated identity recovery service. So again, thank you very much, and I hope to talk to you more in the future, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
You too.